Hello, my friends. I would like to talk about a practice in recovery that is really pivotal. It played a huge role, I know, in my own recovery, and I've never really seen it talked about before. But it's something that has been coming up repeatedly in coaching, and I just realized that no one's talking about this. And it's the practice of sitting down and really facing what you believe at the core about what's going on inside your brain when you're using neuroplasticity to rewire your brain, and asking yourself if what you're believing is working, and being willing to actively sit down and decide what you're going to believe. Most of the time when I work with people, most of the questions revolve around like how to do it right. What practice for how long at what time, and is this better than that, and does this work more than this, and what about this symptom and that. But really at the core of it, because we're rewiring our limbic systems, your beliefs determine what your brain views as helpful and possible. Now, your brain is your helper. Your motivation is anchored in your brain function. And if you don't believe something is possible, your brain is not going to drive you in the direction of behavior it thinks is irrelevant or unhelpful to your goal. So this is something, one of the biggest ones with this is just, do we really believe it's the limbic system? Do we really believe this is just the brain, or are we believing the false messages? And that may sound like it's a question that is only relevant when you're beginning your journey, but that's not true. I know I had to face this every single time I leveled up in my recovery. I needed to take that belief another step. I've had a few calls this week that reminded me of this reality that is just part of the journey, because in a certain sense, the stakes are higher as you go along. One of the conversations I had reminded me of in my journey how once I reached a point where it was like, I believed it was just my brain, but then I had to go out on a limb and teach other people that here, and that felt risky. And I had to go out on a limb and say, and I believe that I can put my children's survival and my ability to buy a house and maintain it, or parent, or stand up to the stresses of homeownership and, recovering from PTSD and all the things I went through post-recovery, and say, yeah, I really believe that the principles I built my recovery on are going to hold true. And I'm putting other people's lives on that belief too. Like, the stakes get higher as we go. And I don't mean that to scare you, but that's just the reality that each time, if you do one incremental training, maybe it's just a different area. Maybe you train around food and you got that down. Maybe now you're training on exercise, or maybe you're training on something that's relational, healing attachment wounds, or working through a difficult relationship, or training on working or driving, or, something else, just something different. And it's something where we wire in this belief that this is just the brain, and we have to take that into our actions. What that means is that when your symptoms get loud, you don't back down no matter how loud they get. You say, no, I believe I can rise above this. I believe that I can still engage my attention with something else, no matter how intensely my limbic system has hijacked me. And that's a big thing to believe. But if we don't believe that, we stay stuck. If we do believe it, we're giving ourselves a shot at being able to rise above. We're giving ourselves the chance to succeed. But your brain's never going to go that way if you don't believe that. So that's one example, right? And this is the most fundamental thing I see that people get snagged on in recovery, is not really understanding what it means to believe that their symptoms are just their brain, or getting scared when the symptoms get loud and backing down. That's just something I see a lot. But this can go for literally any belief. And it's something where, again, your brain, your practice, being consistent, finding tools that work for you. You're not going to be able to access any of that. There is a moat in between you and all of that until you really believe that this is your limbic system. Then you're not going to be able to figure out how best to address it, because you don't even believe that's really what's going on yet. And it might be that part of you does and part of you doesn't. We can believe two different opposing things at once, which puts you on straddling a barbed wire fence. It is the most uncomfortable experience I could imagine as a human being, is to believe two opposing things at once, especially about something that is this basic to your moment-to-moment choices and your health and how you feel, and whether or not you feel okay being alive in any given moment. That's a big thing. It's incredibly painful to be stuck in that position. And I definitely have been myself. It's not, I hate it, absolutely hate it. I became very decisive after recovery, because I was like, I can't ever not make up my mind about something ever again. But this is something, again, where only you can do that. And this is an area where, as a coach, sometimes I feel almost a bit irrelevant to the process, because I'm like, I can tell you how to make this choice. I can tell you need to, but I can't do it for you. So there's an exercise you can do of just sitting down and asking yourself, like getting out a sheet of paper, if you can, write it down, of, okay, what do I really believe? Write it down as ugly as it is. It's going to look, and it's going to look silly. Write down what you believe. I can't do this. I'm afraid of my symptoms. I believe that I'm innately too weak. I can't get well. I'm too broken. This is too big. I'm not strong enough. Whatever it is, that whatever's in there, I'm not sure. I'm afraid that I'm afraid that if I take this all the way, it won't be true, and I'll be left with disappointed yet again by another modality. And I don't think I can handle that heartbreak. I don't think I can handle that disappointment. I don't know what else I'll do after this. So I'm going to stall at following through with this because I'm afraid I won't find a different solution afterwards. Whatever it is, anything, write down what you believe. Now write down all the behaviors you can see in your day-to-day life, the emotions and the thoughts, behaviors, emotions, thoughts that reflect that belief, that belief is creating. It's the fruit of that plant. Write them down underneath the belief. And then ask yourself, okay, is this working for me? Is it protecting me from anything? Is it helping me solve a problem in my life? Is it supportive or uplifting or helpful in any way? And if the answer is no, ask yourself, what would I like to believe, or what do I already believe? A lot of times human beings are amazing, and a lot of times we have a higher, wiser, more adult part of us that knows the truth. And it just takes a lot of practice and courage to step into that truth in our actions and our emotions and our behaviors over time. So if you already know what the truth is, if you already feel that truth inside of you, or there's something that you'd like to believe, maybe it's something you see other people believe, or something that sounds like, okay, I would like to have that belief, write that down. Now ask yourself, if I believe this, what would I do? How would I feel? What would I think? And what would I say? What would I say to myself and to other people? And then step into that belief. Beliefs are like, at first, you're going to be putting on this new belief like it's a piece of clothing, like you're stepping into a pair of boots, and it's going to feel wrong. It's like the whole, new wine and old wineskins, or however that goes in the Bible. Like when you are acting and emoting and speaking and thinking into a new belief, it's directly opposing the belief that's already wired into your subconscious, and your body is going to reject it. And what that's going to feel like is, I'm lying to myself. I don't really believe this. This is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? Like, why? I'm just like going around the world insane and fooling myself that I believe something I don't. That's what it feels like when you're doing it right. When you're changing a core belief that's wired into your body correctly, it feels like you're going crazy, and it feels like you're lying to yourself. So that's a practice of just sitting down, and you can make a singular decision of, I'm done believing this. I'm choosing to really sit there with yourself and ask yourself, what do I have left to lose? And I mean that because it's a big question, but this is our lives we're dealing with. This recovery is no small thing. And I know at least took me until I'd lost everything about 4 times over before I was like, all right, I've got nothing left to lose. That is truly the most powerful place to be. I know that's a cliche, but you've probably already lost a lot, maybe not everything, but a lot, from believing the things you currently believe. So, but this practice is one, and then once you've shifted that, once you've sat down and looked these things square in the face and decided to take that leap of faith and thought about what's in the balance, what are the stakes, and actually decided I'm willing to bet the possibility of recovery on believing something new, recognizing that if I keep believing what I'm currently believing, I'm going to keep getting the outcomes I'm getting, guaranteed. Once you've sat with that, then now your brain it's designed to help you. If you tell it 2 different things, it's like telling a dog to run 2 different directions at the same time. It's going to just walk away at some point because it can't help you if you give it opposing instructions. But once you've decided what you believe in that new vein, then the possibility of being consistent in your practice opens up to you. The possibility of rising above your symptoms that you haven't yet mastered, or the fears or the thoughts in your mind that you haven't yet mastered, those open up. Now, the possibility of being able to really hear yourself and find tools that really connect with you and are effective, that opens up. Now there's a road you can go down that's going to go somewhere positive and life-giving once you've made that choice. But until we've made up our minds about what we believe, nothing's going to work in a certain sense. We stay at a stalemate until we make up our minds about believing something new. So there's new practice for y'all. I love you all. Take good care of yourselves. Believe things that are life-giving. Give it a try. It's worth it.